What happens when the man she thought would always care suddenly stops trying? The emotional roller coaster that follows is something few people truly understand. When you stop caring, whether by choice or necessity, it triggers a series of emotional responses that can leave her questioning everything: her value, your intentions, and even the relationship itself. These stages aren't just random. They're deeply rooted in psychology and human connection. But here's the catch. How you navigate this situation matters just as much as her reaction. In today's video, we'll break down the 10 emotional stages a woman goes through when you pull back emotionally. More importantly, we'll explore how applying the principles of Stoicism, calmness, emotional control, and understanding what's within your power can help you handle this dynamic with clarity and purpose. Stick around, because this isn't just about relationships. It's about personal growth and becoming someone who commands respect, not through manipulation, but through self-mastery. Let's dive in. Number 1. The sudden silence. When you stop caring for her, the change can be startling. At first, she's caught off guard, almost like a sudden jolt to her reality. Your absence creates a silence that's impossible to ignore. It's in that quiet void that questions begin to surface in her mind. Why the sudden change? What happened to the attention I once received without effort? This moment is powerful because it forces her to confront the reality that something she once took for granted is no longer there. What she didn't notice before now feels like a gaping absence, and that absence carries a message she can't easily dismiss. As a Stoic man, your choice to step back isn't about punishing her or playing mind games. It's an intentional decision rooted in self-awareness and the understanding of your own value. You're not retreating in anger or frustration. You're creating space for both yourself and her to reflect. Think about it like this. By choosing to let go of constant pursuit or over-investment, you're reclaiming energy that was perhaps being spent without enough reciprocity. Your silence is a choice to focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. You're not trying to manipulate her response, but instead, you're aligning with your own principles and preserving your peace of mind. For her, this shift can be unsettling. She starts to reflect on what she may have overlooked, and in that reflection, she often comes to realize your absence wasn't a weakness on your part, but a strength. It's a quiet but clear message. You're not someone who clings desperately. Instead, you respect yourself enough to pull away when something feels imbalanced. That kind of confidence is magnetic and rare. Picture this scenario. You were always the one initiating, the one giving, the one showing up first. But now, the texts are fewer, the calls non-existent. At first, she might brush it off, assuming it's temporary. But as the days go by, the silence grows louder. She begins to feel the weight of the absence and starts to wonder, did I underestimate him? Did I take his presence for granted? In this space, you're not just absent, you're deliberate. You're choosing to invest in yourself, whether that's through personal growth, hobbies, or simply enjoying the freedom of not overthinking someone else's actions. And ironically, it's often in your absence that she feels your presence the most. In the end, this process isn't just transformative for her. It's also deeply empowering for you. You're reminding yourself that your worth isn't tied to how much you give or how much you're needed. Your worth exists independently, and it shines even brighter when you hold it firmly within yourself. Number 2. Telling herself it's nothing. She tells herself it's nothing, brushing off the change with thoughts like, "He's probably just busy," or "Maybe I'm overthinking this." This denial is her way of avoiding the discomfort that comes with sensing your withdrawal. It's easier to hold on to the illusion that everything is fine than to face the unsettling idea that your care might no longer be there. In this phase, she may look for clues, replay past conversations in her mind, and search for reassurance in your behavior. But here's the thing: your silence speaks volumes. When you stop explaining, overcompensating, or chasing, you're giving her space to confront her own feelings. In moments like these, it's not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about stepping back and letting the natural balance of the relationship unfold. When you choose silence, paired with self-control, it becomes a tool for growth, not avoidance. You're showing her that you respect yourself enough to maintain your boundaries, and that you won't force someone to value your presence. You've always been the one to initiate, to make her feel special, to reassure her when she seemed distant. But now, you've shifted your focus inward. You're pursuing your goals, staying composed, and not letting your emotions run the show. At first, she might not know what to make of it. The shift could feel foreign, even unsettling. And yet, in that space, she starts to reflect. She begins to wonder what's changed. She might miss the attention she once took for granted. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Your silence, when rooted in self-respect and authenticity, is a reflection of that. You're choosing to act with intention, not to react emotionally. The key here is restraint. Resist the urge to explain yourself, to fill the silence, or to chase validation. Trust that your actions will communicate far more than your words ever could. When you carry yourself with quiet confidence and focus on becoming the best version of yourself, she can feel the difference. And whether or not she says it, she notices. Remember, this isn't about whether she comes back or realizes what she's lost. It's about you standing firm in your value, knowing that your care is something special, not something to be given recklessly or without mutual respect. It's a powerful shift when you stop trying to control her reaction and instead focus on mastering your own. That's where real strength lies. Reflecting on this dynamic can be a transformative moment. What are your thoughts on the power of silence and self-respect in relationships? Have you ever experienced the shift that comes when you prioritize your own growth over seeking external validation? I'd love to hear your perspective. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, or simply type "Strength in Silence" if this message resonated with you. Your reflections could inspire others who are navigating similar situations, so don't hesitate to share. Number 3. The overthinking spiral. This is the moment her thoughts begin to spiral. Suddenly, she's in her head, replaying conversations, analyzing every text, every moment. Did I do something wrong? She wonders. Is he seeing someone else? What if he's really done with me? The questions swirl around her mind like a storm she can't seem to calm. And that uncertainty, it starts to weigh on her heavily. You see, when you pull back, it's as if you've shifted the dynamic. What she once took for granted, your attention, your effort, now feels elusive, and it makes her start searching for answers. She might try to figure out what changed. Was it her? Was it something she did? Or is there someone else? That doubt can create a powerful emotional spiral, and it can be overwhelming for her. But here's where Stoicism comes into play. Her emotional reaction, her turmoil, it's not yours to resolve. You're not responsible for fixing the storm in someone else's mind. Instead, your focus should be on remaining calm and grounded. Because when you stop seeking validation from her responses, you reclaim your peace. Think about it this way. Her spiral isn't about you. It's about her. It's her wrestling with the change in energy, the loss of control she feels. And this is where you, as a man grounded in Stoic principles, must hold your center. Don't react, don't chase, and don't try to manage her emotions. Instead, remind yourself that your sense of self-worth doesn't come from how she views you or how she feels in this moment. It comes from within, from knowing who you are and what you stand for. Imagine a calm sea during a storm. The surface may look chaotic, but deep below, the water remains still, unaffected. That's how you should approach this. Let her storm rage on the surface, but don't let it pull you into the chaos. Keep your calm and steady presence. It's not about being cold or unfeeling. It's about protecting your peace and understanding that not every emotional reaction needs a response. When you stop caring in the way she expects, it forces her to reflect. It might even make her realize the value of what she had but didn't fully appreciate. And in that space, you find clarity. Clarity about what you want, what you deserve, and whether the connection truly serves both of you. Remember, your role isn't to fix or chase. It's to remain steadfast, grounded, and true to yourself. That's where your strength lies. That's where your power is. Number 4. Questioning her own actions. When you stop caring for a woman, or at least stop showing that you do, something significant begins to shift. It's not just about your absence or the lack of attention, it's about the space your withdrawal creates. In that space, self-reflection often takes root. She starts to question her own behavior. Did I take him for granted? Was I too blind to see the signs of his withdrawal? These thoughts might swirl in her mind, creating a level of introspection she hadn't experienced before. It's as if your silence holds up a mirror, and for the first time, she's forced to confront her own role in the dynamic between you. This process can be uncomfortable for her. She may replay past interactions, dissecting moments where she might have been dismissive, aloof, or inattentive. What's fascinating is that this isn't something you force her to do. By choosing to step back, you've created an opportunity for her to see things she may have ignored or taken for granted. That's the beauty of detachment. It allows clarity to emerge for both of you. By stepping away, you're not trying to manipulate her feelings or dictate her realizations. Instead, you're embodying a Stoic principle, the power of detachment. Silence becomes your ally here. It's not about punishing her or playing games. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most profound realizations occur in stillness. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people arguing over a fire. As long as both keep adding fuel, the fire rages on. But when one person steps back and stops feeding it, the flames begin to die down. In the quiet that follows, the other person finally feels the heat and begins to understand its intensity. Similarly, when you stop showing care, it's like stepping back from that fire. In the absence of your energy, she's left to feel the void and recognize the value of what you brought into her life. This doesn't mean you're abandoning her or acting out of spite. It's quite the opposite. You're allowing her the space to grow and reflect, just as you're giving yourself the chance to reclaim your own peace. A Stoic would say, this is the path to inner freedom. You're no longer a slave to the need for her validation or attention. And ironically, this act of letting go often has the opposite effect. It draws her closer, because people are naturally drawn to what they fear losing. So, as she sits with her thoughts, Don't underestimate the power of your silence. It's a teacher, a force that demands respect, and a reminder that sometimes stepping back speaks louder than any words you could say. As we've discussed, detachment isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about creating space for growth, understanding, and clarity. Now, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on this dynamic. Have you experienced a situation where stepping back brought clarity or a shift in perspective for you or someone else? Share your thoughts in the comments or simply type, "Silence creates clarity." Your insights might inspire others who are navigating similar situations. Let's keep this conversation going. Number 5. The frustration builds. As the reality of your detachment sets in, frustration takes over. She might lash out, accusing you of being cold or distant, desperately trying to regain control of the dynamic. Her words may sting, and her reactions might feel unfair. But take a step back and see it for what it truly is, a mirror of her inner struggle. Her frustration isn't about you entirely. It's about the vulnerability your distance has exposed. That anger she directs at you? It's often her way of shielding herself from admitting how deeply she feels the shift. She's trying to navigate the emotional storm inside her, and anger becomes the easiest emotion to cling to because it masks what she fears most, the realization that she's losing something she values. It's a defense mechanism, a way of saying, "You mattered to me, and now your absence feels like a loss." As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Her frustration is her reaction, not something you need to internalize or carry. By choosing to remain calm and composed, you're not dismissing her feelings. You're embodying a strength rooted in self-respect. You're showing that you won't allow yourself to be pulled into emotional chaos or provoked into conflict, and that unwavering steadiness speaks volumes. Imagine this. She accuses you of being indifferent, her voice sharp and full of blame. Instead of reacting with defensiveness, you respond with steady calmness, saying, "I understand why you might feel that way." That composure doesn't just protect your peace of mind, it also creates a contrast that she can't ignore. Your calm demeanor highlights her inner turmoil, making her reflect on whether her reactions are truly justified. Over time, as her anger subsides, she's likely to confront the emotions she's been masking. She might realize that her frustration wasn't about your actions, but about the void your absence created. And in that realization, she may begin to see the value of the connection she once took for granted. This doesn't mean you manipulated the situation. It means you stayed true to yourself while allowing her the space to process her own emotions. Remember, your detachment isn't about punishing her. It's about prioritizing your own well-being and self-respect. By not allowing her frustration to dictate your response, you maintain your inner balance. And in doing so, you remind her and yourself that true strength lies in staying grounded, no matter how turbulent the emotions around you may be. Number 6. Trying to figure you out. When you stop caring for her in the way you used to, constantly seeking her approval, over-explaining yourself, or bending over backward to make things work, something profound begins to happen. She notices the shift. At first, she might brush it off, but soon her curiosity starts to take over. She wonders what's changed in you. Why do you seem so calm? Why aren't you reacting the way she expects? Why are you so unbothered? The energy you once poured into overthinking, worrying, or trying to control the narrative is now redirected toward something much more powerful: yourself. The more you embrace this calm, grounded version of yourself, the more she becomes intrigued. She finds herself focusing on you, but not in the way she did before. Now, it's not about what you're doing for her, it's about who you're becoming. Think of it this way. Mystery doesn't come from withholding information or pretending to be someone you're not. Real mystery is born when you focus on living authentically, when you stop trying to be understood and simply start being. A woman can sense when a man is at peace with himself. That kind of energy is rare, and it's magnetic. It makes her wonder what's going on in your mind, and why her usual way of interacting with you no longer holds the same power. The essence of Stoicism is staying centered, remaining in control of your emotions, not letting external circumstances dictate your state of mind. When you let go of the need for her validation and focus instead on aligning with your own values, you embody that Stoic strength. You're no longer reacting to every little thing she says or does. Instead, you're observing, reflecting, and choosing your responses carefully. You used to text her good morning every day, always initiating the conversation, always making sure she knew you cared. But now, you don't. It's not because you're angry or trying to ignore her, it's because you've realized that your peace of mind doesn't depend on whether or not she texts you back. At first, she might think you're pulling away out of spite. But as she sees the steadiness in your actions, your calm demeanor, your quiet confidence, she starts to wonder if she misjudged you. That curiosity can be powerful. It shifts the dynamic. She starts to think about you more than she expected. She begins to ask herself questions. Why doesn't he seem as affected as before? Did I overlook something about him? Has he grown in a way I didn't anticipate? And here's the truth. Yes, you have grown. You've chosen to focus on what you can control, yourself. You're no longer chasing approval because you've learned that true strength lies in self-respect and inner stability. This isn't about winning her back or teaching her a lesson. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to rely on anyone else for a sense of worth. This journey isn't always easy, but it's worth it. As Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." When you embody this mindset, you free yourself from the need for external validation. You demonstrate to her and to yourself that you are a man of courage and self-mastery, unshaken by the uncertainties of life. So, let her curiosity grow. Let her wonder what's changed. And while she's figuring it out, stay focused on what truly matters: your own growth, your own peace, and your own values. That's where the real power lies. And that's when you'll see how freeing it is to stop caring in the ways that used to hold you back. If you've made it this far, it's clear you're serious about understanding the deeper dynamics of personal growth and relationships. Take a moment to reflect. How does the idea of redirecting your energy toward yourself resonate with you? Have you experienced this kind of shift before, or are you ready to start now? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your perspective in the comments. What part of this resonates with you most? Or, if you're not sure what to say, just type, "Curiosity is the spark of growth." Let's keep the conversation going and inspire each other to embrace this journey of growth and self-mastery. Number 7. Missing what she had. Regret begins to creep in like an unexpected shadow. She starts to feel the weight of your absence, a void where your care and attention once filled her days. Those small acts of kindness, the thoughtful gestures she may have overlooked or taken for granted, suddenly take center stage in her memory. She begins to miss the way you made her feel, seen, valued, secure. It's a bittersweet longing, one that forces her to confront the reality of what she's lost. This isn't about trying to make her regret her choices. It's about understanding the natural consequences of stepping back. When you prioritize yourself and stop overextending, you reclaim your energy and focus on what truly matters, your peace of mind and your purpose. It's a reflection of what Stoicism teaches us. Don't waste your energy worrying about what's outside your control. Her feelings, her realizations, and her regrets are hers to process, not yours to fix. Think about it. When you were always there, always available, she may have assumed you'd always be that way. But the moment you redirect your energy inward and start living with integrity and purpose, it changes the dynamic. She's left to face the reality that your attention wasn't infinite. It was a gift. And now that it's gone, she begins to feel its absence in ways she didn't expect. Imagine the impact of this. Maybe she used to dismiss your good morning texts, thinking they were just routine. Now, she wakes up to silence, and it stings. Maybe she once brushed off your words of encouragement, but now she misses that steady reassurance. This is where the beauty of Stoicism shines. You don't cling to the past or try to force her to see your value. Instead, you focus on being present, on building a life that reflects your principles, and on staying true to yourself. As you move forward, you realize that your worth doesn't depend on her recognition. You stop chasing validation because you understand that true strength lies in self-mastery. And here's the thing. When you pull back, when you stop caring in the way you once did, it gives her the space to reflect. This is where she starts to feel the regret, not because you're playing games, but because your absence speaks volumes. It's a silence that allows her to see clearly. And for you, this isn't about revenge or making her miss you. It's about stepping into your power, about living with a sense of purpose and calm that doesn't rely on anyone else's actions. Remember, you can't control her thoughts or emotions, but you can control how you respond. By focusing on what you can change, your mindset, your actions, your priorities, you not only grow as a person, but also create the kind of life that naturally commands respect. And in the process, you teach her, and perhaps even yourself, an important lesson: that love and attention are precious, but they're not to be taken for granted. Number 8. Letting her guard down. This is the stage where her walls come down. She starts to feel exposed, perhaps even lost, as she realizes the connection she once shared with you isn't as readily available anymore. This is the stage where her emotions become raw, and vulnerability begins to take center stage. She may feel the weight of that vulnerability, questioning her own actions and replaying moments you shared. This isn't just about missing you. It's about facing the gap your absence has created in her life. That's when she might reach out, not always directly, but in subtle ways, testing the waters to see if you're still emotionally present. Maybe she sends a casual message, likes an old photo, or finds an excuse to talk. These small actions often reveal her inner conflict, a mix of longing and hesitation. As a man practicing Stoicism, it's essential to approach this moment with wisdom. Stoicism teaches us to remain grounded and not to react impulsively to every external event. Her vulnerability is not an invitation to rush in and fix things or reclaim what's been lost. Instead, it's an opportunity to show patience, integrity, and emotional strength. Remember, the Stoics believed in letting life unfold as it will, without trying to control every outcome. So, resist the urge to immediately fill the void she feels. Instead, allow her the space to process her emotions. For example, If she texts you with something casual like, "Hey, just thinking about you," your instinct might be to jump at the chance to reconnect. But a Stoic man knows the value of restraint. Respond thoughtfully, not hastily. Something like, "It's good to hear from you. I hope you're doing well," strikes the right balance. It shows you're open to communication without overwhelming her or yourself. By stepping back and maintaining your composure, you also protect your peace of mind. This is crucial. The Stoic approach reminds us that we cannot control how others feel or act. We can only control our own responses. Let her vulnerability unfold naturally, without forcing it to align with your timeline. When you do this, you maintain your self-respect and allow her to confront her emotions on her own terms. This stage is powerful, not because it guarantees reconciliation or a return to how things were, but because it reflects growth for both of you. For her, it's an opportunity to confront what she values. For you, it's a test of your ability to stand firm in your principles, even when emotions run high. It's not about playing games or withholding care. It's about respecting the natural ebb and flow of human connection. Let patience guide you, and you'll navigate this with dignity, no matter what the outcome. Now, I want to hear your perspective. Have you ever experienced a situation where giving someone space during their vulnerable moments brought clarity or strengthened the connection? Share your story in the comments or simply type, "Patience is power." Your reflections could offer valuable insights for others on this journey. Let's continue this dialogue and grow together. Number 9. Coming to terms with it. Acceptance finally sets in. She begins to realize that the relationship or the dynamic you once shared may never return to what it used to be. It's a bittersweet awakening. Whether she decides to move on entirely or considers reaching out again, this moment of clarity becomes a turning point for her. You see, this stage is deeply tied to the Stoic principle of acceptance. The Stoics remind us that much of life is beyond our control, and it's our response that shapes our experience. Seneca wisely said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have." For her, this means facing the reality of your emotional absence and finding a way to align her feelings with the undeniable facts. It may hurt at first, but there's a certain freedom that comes from letting go of what cannot be changed, a freedom that allows her to begin moving forward. Think about this. When you truly stop caring, you're removing yourself as the source of her validation or comfort. At first, she may feel unsettled, questioning her own worth or replaying moments in her mind, wondering what she could have done differently. But with time, as the fog of emotion lifts, she begins to see things as they are. Perhaps she recognizes her own role in the dynamic, or sees the ways she may have taken you for granted. Or maybe she understands that the loss of your attention is not a reflection of her value, but simply the natural course of your choices. For you, this is where the Stoic approach truly shines. By pulling back and concentrating only on what you can control, your actions, your values, and your inner calm, you've provided a powerful example. You've shown her the quiet resilience of someone who refuses to be led by emotion or rely on external validation. In this space of detachment, you've allowed her to face her own emotions and begin to grow. As Epictetus once said, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well." Your withdrawal sends a message, whether you intended it or not. Peace comes from within, not from clinging to someone else. Let's take an example. Imagine you were always the one to initiate conversations, solve her problems, or make her feel important. When you stopped, she may have initially felt angry or confused. But now, as acceptance takes root, she begins to see those moments with new eyes. Maybe she realizes how much you contributed without asking for recognition, or she sees how her own behavior might have pushed you away. This clarity doesn't just change how she views the past, it transforms how she approaches the future. The beauty of this process is that acceptance is not defeat, it's growth. For her, it's a chance to rebuild herself, perhaps in ways that make her stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. For you, it's an opportunity to stay true to yourself, grounded in the principles that guide your life. In the end, whether she chooses to reconnect or move forward without you, both paths are shaped by this moment of clarity. So, remember, when you stop caring, it's not just an act of indifference. It's a ripple that forces her to confront her own truths. And in that process, you're both left with a chance to grow. Number 10. Seeing you differently. In the end, she sees you in a new light. You're no longer the man chasing validation or approval. Instead, you become someone she respects, even admires, for your calmness and sense of self-worth. You're no longer reacting to every slight or moment of tension. Instead, you're grounded, steady, and composed. And that's powerful. Whether she acknowledges it openly or not, she notices the change, and it leaves a mark. Here's the truth. When you embrace detachment, it's not about shutting her out or being cold. It's about recognizing your own value and choosing not to let your peace depend on someone else's actions or approval. The Stoics teach us this vital lesson. We can't control how others feel about us, but we can always control how we respond. And when you respond with grace, dignity, and self-respect, it says more than any words ever could. Let's say she pulls away emotionally or starts taking you for granted. The old you might have chased her, over-explained yourself, or bent over backward to win her affection. But now, you simply let go. You don't beg, you don't plead. Instead, you focus on your own life, your goals, your growth, your peace. She begins to realize that you're no longer the same man she could overlook. Your quiet strength speaks volumes. By staying true to your values, you show her what real strength looks like. Strength isn't about yelling, forcing, or controlling. It's about standing firm in who you are. It's about walking away with your head high when a situation no longer aligns with your principles. This is the essence of Stoicism: to remain unshaken, deliberate, and steady, no matter the storm around you. Over time, this shift becomes undeniable. Even if she doesn't say it aloud, she sees the difference. She admires how you've mastered your emotions, how you've refused to let your worth be dictated by her actions. And it's not about winning her back or making her regret anything. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, for yourself. In the end, she can't help but see you in a new light. You've shown her, and perhaps even taught her, what it means to handle life and relationships with dignity and grace. You've demonstrated that true power isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet, deliberate, and unwavering. That's the kind of impression that lingers, one she won't easily forget. And through it all, you've protected your peace, proving that your strength lies in your ability to let go and move forward with clarity and purpose. As we wrap up, let's reflect on what we've explored together. When you stop caring in the ways you once did, It's not about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about rediscovering your own value and acting with intention. It's about understanding that true strength comes from within and choosing to focus on what you can control: your mindset, your actions, and your peace. For her, this shift creates space for self-reflection. And for you, it's an opportunity to grow into the best version of yourself. This isn't about proving a point to someone else. It's about proving to yourself that you are enough. And when you embody this calm, centered energy, it speaks louder than words ever could. So, whether you're navigating this dynamic in a relationship or applying these principles to your personal growth, remember, your worth is not defined by how much you give or how much someone values you. It's defined by how you carry yourself, no matter the circumstances. If you found these insights valuable, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. What resonated most with you in this video? Share your reflections in the comments below. And before you go, check out the recommended videos on screen. They'll dive deeper into similar topics to help you continue your journey of self-mastery and understanding. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay grounded and keep growing.